You could say, we'll give everybody a minute or two to get in.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll give everybody a couple more minutes to let everybody join us, and we'll get started shortly.
Thanks. That's it. Have you seen a participant count? Oh, we got 9 on. So. Okay. What? What do you think? Couple more minutes.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for United Way of Greater Nashville's virtual tour Tuesday. My name's Ashley McDonald, and I'm an account manager with the United Way's Workplace Engagement Team. I have the great pleasure of working with our Tour Tuesday series. Tour Tuesday is an opportunity for folks to get an inside look at the great work happening in our community through United Way's partner agencies. For fellow nonprofit staff, this is a great way to learn about other service providers and programs that might be beneficial to your own clients. For those looking to get involved, it can be a great way to hear about current volunteer and engagement opportunities. And for our United Way donors, this is a fantastic opportunity to hear from agencies who are putting your dollars to work in our community. While we do hope to one day soon be back together for in-person tours, we're happy to continue with our virtual series. Each tour features agencies and programs from across the greater Nashville region as we come together to discuss current community conditions. During today's tour, we'll hear from representatives from our partner organizations that are working on empowering individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities to progress towards their full potential while fostering community. We have the great privilege of being joined by representatives from 3 of our United Way partners, H.A.T.S, Progress Inc., and WAVES. All of these programs receive funding through United Way's community impact model, which is made possible by individual and corporate donations, local and federal grants, and the donations made through United Way's workplace campaigns. At the end of today's session, attendees will have the opportunity to ask questions of our panelists through the Q&A box. So please hold on to those great questions until the end. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our panelists. First, we have Sheila Phillips, Assistant Director at H.A.T.S. Also with us is Kelly O'Connor, the Director of Development at Progress Inc. And lastly, we'll be hearing from Lance Jordan, Executive Director of WAVES, as well as Stacy Davis, the Development and Community Relations Director, and Gina Wilson, the Early Learning Program Director at WAVES. Welcome and thank you for joining us. Let's get started with Tour Tuesday. I'd like for each of you to share a little bit about your services that you provide, your service region, and the impact you have on the community and the outcomes that you see. Sheila, can you start us off?
Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Sheila Phillips, and I'm the Assistant Director for H.A.T.S, as you said, and I thank you for that introduction. And we serve Robertson County, and we also serve Gallatin in Sumner County as well. And currently in Robertson County, we service 26 adults we've recently, sadly, we've lost 3 people since September. And so we have, right now we serve 8 people in residential rehab setting, residential services, and we have 2 people that are in semi-independent living services, where we just check on them 2 times a week. And then we have 5 people that are working in the community, and then we have people that are receiving day services. We are doing community-based services with them right now. And we have facility-based services on our cost plan, but we are not providing that service right now just because of staffing situations. The community-based services, we're providing that on a rotation basis, just because of the staffing situation. We don't have enough staff right now to keep that going full force. So we're picking up like 3 people each day and taking them out. And then we're, like I said, doing that on a rotation basis. And some of the people that we have on our caseload, not everybody is wanting to go out into the community due to still the fear of COVID. So we're trying to, support as many as we can, but that is basically, we do have family support services that we provide as well. And so that is going very well in that community. And so basically that's what we are doing right now. So.
Okay, well, great. Thank you so much, Sheila, for sharing that. We're going to have some questions at the end. So we will move on to Kelly O'Connor, Director of Development at Progress Inc. Next.
Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. I am delighted to be here today to talk about Progress. We support Davidson County and folks within the contiguous counties. We support quite a few people in Rutherford County, also Cheatham County, and the other surrounding counties to Davidson. Overall, we support approximately 244 people through residential services, through community-based day services. We do have a few people in at-home day services. Also, we have a comprehensive employment program. We have an employment center on campus. We have 2 project search cohorts, which are internship programs. One is with Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. The other one is with Embassy Suites. The one at Vanderbilt is an adult model. The one at Embassy Suites is a student model. We also support, and this makes us, I think, a little different from some of the other agencies. We also have a senior services division. Our senior services department, let me back up a little bit. We were founded in 1971. And over the course of 40 some odd years, we realized that we had become expert in the same types of services that a growing number of seniors would need. So approximately 15 years ago, we started a senior services department, and they serve people who are experiencing the disabilities due to aging, such as some physical disabilities, but also Alzheimer's, dementia, that type of thing. So we also have the senior services side. We are try to, as far as outcomes go, we see outcomes with housing, stable housing, particularly on the senior services side. We have, I think, currently about 11 CLS homes. We have 34 houses on for residential on the side of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities side. We have outcomes across the board with employment, with job acquisition, job training, and across the board. And I would love to answer any questions after you all see my video. So if somebody can queue up our video, that explains things far better than I ever could.
Yes, we're happy to do that. Give us one second, we'll get that queued up.
Thanks.
Stephen and Rico in their early years were in state custody, and they were taken care of by an individual who eventually basically reached the age that he could no longer care for them. Stephen and Rico entered the waiver services and first with a family-based model and secondly in the companion program.
You two guys give each other vibes. Yay.
They're truly like brothers, as they should be. They've been with each other since the age of 7.
They are, for me, very special individuals. They're both total care, which means you have to feed them. They eat a puree diet. They have staff who are in the home overnight awake, who go and manually turn them, maybe from their left side to their back. They need this level of assistance.
Stephen and Rico are probably 2 of the greatest men I've ever known. They do not communicate much verbally. However, if you spend any amount of time with Stephen and Rico, you don't have any doubt about what their wants are, what their needs are, what makes them happy, what makes them tick.
If Stephen and Rico had not been able to enter the foster care system, they likely would have ended up at Clover Bottom Developmental Center, which is the institutional care facility that is in Middle Tennessee.
40, 50 years ago, if you had a special needs child, often the doctors would simply tell families, you know what, you have a special needs child, let the state have custody. The state will take care of them. They might have a bed inside a massive room with many other beds. I've had individuals who were nonverbal, who, when it was time to eat, they would crouch over and hide their food because they had learned in an institution that if you don't eat and eat quickly, somebody else is going to take your food.
Without round-the-clock care, for people like Rico and Stephen, I'm scared to mention the fact that what would happen, on a day-to-day basis otherwise. What do you keep laughing at all the time?
Creating families is so important. Progress is unique in that by us having a companion model, a person who lives in the home, it's more than a job, it's their life.
They have been able to have long-standing relationships, which is typical for most people, but doesn't always happen for people with disabilities, especially as complicated disabilities as they have.
They may not be able to bring voice like you and I do, but you learn what they like. And that is so important to have staff who are there day in and day out so that they can get to know them.
The main reason that Progress exists is to ensure that people with disabilities can be happy, successful, independent as they possibly can be through the supports that we provide.
Having that right to live where you want to live and having the right to play music if you want to play music and play it loud if you want to play it loud. Those are the kind of rights that you and I might take for granted that, again, they probably otherwise wouldn't have. They have some caregivers who truly love them.
Our staff, they do this because they're passionate, because you walk into a home, you become a family, you provide care to a Stephen and Rico, and you know that you are impacting their lives.
They're great guys, and I enjoy working with them. And with people like Stephen and Rico, if I had to do it all over again,
I think yep, here we go, I'm getting ready. I'll make sure that it goes to there.
As you can see, that far explained what we do far better than I could. And our outcomes really are providing a higher quality of life for people.
Yes, that video was extremely impactful. Thank you so much for sharing that. We already have a question, so we'll get to that at the end. Next, we'll move on to Lance Jordan, Executive Director with Waves. If you'd like to go ahead, Lance.
I get to follow Stephen and Rico. Thanks a lot. But anyway, happy to do it. We're Waves Incorporated, and we're in Williamson County. And people always ask me what Waves stands for. Waves came about from the families who created the agency. And again, similar to H.A.T.S and to Progress, this is back in the 70s where there weren't options for families. If you had a child that was aging out of the school system, but had a disability and would continue to have it, they were always told, like Progress talked about, they were told to drop them off at a state institution. Well, the families didn't want to do that. So they decided to create their own agency, and they made Waves in the community. And that's where the name of our agency comes from. But nonetheless, that was almost 50 years ago. And now we are in primarily Williamson County, like I said, for our adult services. Our early learning services goes beyond Williamson County, and we'll talk about that in specifics in just a hot minute. We do similar services that you've already heard about, just we do them here, which is the residential program, supported employment in the community. We do have a pretty active adult day program, and the reason why we have kept that going is because families are telling us that they want that. And that's one of the things that we are grateful for. Our United Way funding is that helps support that structured day program and keeps it going. And the folks who aren't motivated to go to work right now or have chosen not to go to work, they still want to find a place to hang out and see their friends and do everything that you or I'd want to do as adults. So the day programs, residential services, employment program, we have drop-in supports for people who live semi-independent lifestyles. And we also last year started a podcast, and that's one of the premier services we provide here in the state, and it's a whole lot of fun. And what's happening is we're giving voices to people who might not ordinarily be heard otherwise. So that's the very quick synopsis of our adult services, and I'm going to let Gina Wilson talk about our early learning program. And both adult and early learning programs, I do want to say, benefit from and are grateful for our continuing partnership with United Way. So Gina, if you want to go ahead and talk about your group.
I think you're on mute, Gina.
I will as soon as I dry my eyes. That was a beautiful video about Stephen and Rico. That was really, really nice. We've all come a long way. So the early learning program here at Waves serves children from birth up to age 5. All of the children in our program have a developmental disability or some sort of delay. We see all kinds of children. We've had lots of little ones born under a pound. We have lots of children who have a diagnosis of autism, or maybe will get a diagnosis of autism. We primarily deliver the service called developmental therapy. What this means is our therapists go to the parents' natural environment, whether that's in their home or preschool. I've ended up at Chick-fil-A and Publix and Chuck E. Cheese. Whatever this family needs, we meet them where they are. What we do is coach these parents to teach their children for a lifetime. We are setting the stage for everything we've already talked about so far. It would be kind of like, let's say we go to a knitting class, and I sit here and I talk about knitting for 8 hours. Is that going to make you a good knitter? Probably not. But if I brought my needles and I brought a set for you and I sat and showed you how to do it, And then until the time I got back, you practice. That's how you're going to become a good knitter and accomplish that skill. So that's what we do in our homes. I am in a unique position where I have my family's a recipient of WAVES services and also work for WAVES. I have a 35-year-old son with Down syndrome. And like most parents, you know, when you're expecting a child, you don't think about things like, well, is he going to be born early? Is he going to have Down syndrome? But that happens. It was quite a shock for us. And we were on the verge. He's 35. So I have friends who actually did give up custody. Their children went on to Clover Bottom, and we were just on the verge of that. So we've come a long way in that area. I had folks along the way to teach me how to teach him how to do things. So it was an impact for a lifetime. So because of our support from United Way, our program has grown exponentially. Sometimes when I talk to folks, I tell them 6 years ago, I was a redhead, because we have grown so much and have made such a greater impact on these families in Williamson County and surrounding counties. Just to give you an example, in 2016, we had about 30 children in our program with a budget of about $87,000. It was me, I was part-time, and there were 2 other part-timers. Currently, there are 15 therapists in this program. We have a budget of $1.5 million, and that 28 children has turned to 216. Just in this contract. So we've grown a lot. Think about the impact of what we do with our families, empowering them. Think about the impact that will have on our adult program just in a few years. We're coaching families, we're empowering them to know how to care for their children with special needs.
Thank you so much, Gina. Stacy, did you have anything to add? No? Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much for sharing about the incredible services that your organizations provide throughout our community. I'd like to give each one of you an opportunity to share a couple of different things. What are your plans going forward? What do you hope to achieve by the end of the year? We just have about 6 weeks left until the end of the year, but you can accomplish a lot in 6 weeks. And can you share any silver linings or any success stories that have happened over the past year? And we can start with Sheila. Is she gone? Okay, Sheila's gone. That's okay. We can start with Kelly O'Connor. And I think you're still on mute, Kelly.
Thanks. Yes, I was. One thing that I'm really excited about that we've accomplished this year was a new program. This was our community-based day program. And we all know what the effects of COVID were on ourselves. And you compound that with people who have intellectual disabilities. They might not fully comprehend what was happening. I mean, a lot of us never really fully comprehended it either. And then all of a sudden you're stuck at home, you're not seeing your friends, social isolation. One thing that we're really excited about was this year we received some funding to start an Access to Arts program. And through that, our residential day services program so far has had 86 trips out into the community, and they've done a huge variety of things, from going to the Vanderbilt Art Gallery to going to the Parthenon. They were able to go to the Hermitage and Cheekwood. They've seen the ballet. They've seen various concerts, several plays at Nashville Children's Theater. They even saw an abbreviated opera at one of the library branches. So we had 86 trips so far this year. We'll have, I'm not sure where we're going to end up at the end of the year. We didn't really know what to base this on as far as goals. Because this was a new program, we've already exceeded our goals. We were hoping 52, and we're at 86 now. And we'd had 916 individual encounters. And we count that everybody who was able to go on any one of those arts excursions. And that includes staff, because one thing oftentimes we don't talk about is our amazing staff. Somebody asked a question regarding, staff training. Our staff goes through approximately 60 hours of training before they work with individuals. This is everything from basic OSHA training, new staff hiring, but also a lot of Relias training that we offer through the state. So our folks get a lot of training. They're not paid well, and a lot of them are folks who may have been immigrants themselves. They're not native Nashvillians, and they've been able to go as staff members on these arts excursions with the people we support. So that's one thing I'm hugely proud of this year.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelly. That is wonderful. Yes. So let's move on to, let's move on to Lance. Do you have anything to share as far as what you hope to achieve by the end of the year, or any silver linings or success stories?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. I also want to just piggyback on one thing that Kelly said. And Kelly, I'm sure that you guys do the same thing. When somebody put in the question about staff training, along with all the required training, there's also, I think, I'm sure Progress does this, and probably H.A.T.S as well. You have a period of time where new staff shadow along with experienced and tenured staff. So you're never taking a brand new employee and saying, okay, here, go work with Gina for a week and we'll see you later. We want to be sure it's a good personality fit with the service recipient. And we want to be sure that tenured staff are monitoring and doing the training the right way. So I just wanted to throw that out in case anybody is listening that isn't familiar with our side of the business. Other than the aforementioned podcast, which I think is going to turn into one of the rubies in our crown, I'm actually looking forward to what Gina's program evolves into as the state of Tennessee has come back and said, okay, let's move up. Let's add a different age group to the people who families are going to receive services. I know that our early learning is expanding to different counties around the area here. That's an opportunity for the agency's name to get beyond Franklin and beyond Fairview and so forth. We have opportunities for growth all over the place. We have a waiting list, but our struggle is finding and maintaining and retaining employees. And I know that's not a newsflash to anyone that's listening to this, especially any other nonprofit agency. The folks that work for us do it with a servant leader's heart, because they're not getting a fat wallet. So we have to find ways to recruit the right people and keep them. And so that's a goal, is to improve our recruitment and retention over the next year.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Lance, for sharing that. And I would be remiss if I did not ask if you guys have any volunteer opportunities. Nonprofits are always looking for good volunteers. So I'll start with Lance, since you just finished. If you don't mind sharing any potential volunteer opportunities that might be out there.
Yeah, I'm going to throw that to Stacy. That falls under her
Okay.
department, and y'all haven't heard from her yet anyway. So here you go.
Thanks, Lance. Yes, we always have opportunities for volunteers. We welcome people to come in to be able to work with the individuals that we support, but we also recognize that not everybody might be comfortable working with someone with a disability. So we have volunteer opportunities that work directly with the population that we serve, but then also indirectly. So we operate 4 homes in Williamson County, or 5 homes in Williamson County. And as a homeowner, if you've ever owned a home, or if you currently own a home, you know that the work is endless. And so we always have opportunities to help with the upkeep and maintaining the yards and just odds and ends around the houses. So those are great opportunities. But then also in our day programs, if individuals or groups are interested in helping out with our day programs, our staff could always use help on the floor. It's always an exciting time to see folks come in and just participate with whatever programming we have going on the floor for the day, whether that be a cooking class or playing a board game or reading a book. We always have opportunities like those to help with our folks. So you can email me or Lance and we can direct you into where you need to go. We always like to kind of do a little interview with folks to see what their interests are, so that we're doing a good match as opposed to just placing someone and no one being happy. So we want to make it an enjoyable experience for everybody, organization, volunteer, and person supported wise.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. And Kelly, what about you? Do you guys have any volunteer opportunities that might be available?
We do, and they're very similar to Waves. I would say if people are in Williamson, come on to Waves. If you're in Davidson, come on to us, because we have those same needs in terms of homes. We have a large campus that we always are looking for help, raking leaves, some planting flowers, that kind of thing. Additionally, we have a social enterprise called SMART, and that's over off of Music Valley Drive. And I like to describe it as something between Michael's Meeting, Hobby Lobby. We accept in Goodwill, all combined into one. We accept donations of gently used arts and crafts items and things that can be used for that. And then we have a ton of volunteers that help sort items, help stock items, and working in the stores. So we also have those opportunities also.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing. At this point, I know a lot of information has been shared, and some of our attendees might have questions for the group or a specific panelist. Attendees, please feel free to submit your questions using the link at the bottom of your screen. We'll use the next few minutes to get through as many questions as we can. And I know we have one question that popped up. I believe this was for Kelly. What degree are the staff monitors as far as training? Any types of certifications, et cetera, to care for the individuals?
It really kind of depends on the job. First of all, like I said, pretty much every member of staff gets approximately 60 hours of very basic training. That includes CPR, first aid, all of that type of thing. And that's pretty standard. I know Waves and H.A.T.S probably has the same thing. We also have that Relias training through the state that is more those computer class modules online. We have a quality assurance department also, and they do a lot of home checks. They do a lot of spot checking and keeping things monitored so that we don't have any issues. Obviously, we have the same audits that everybody else has with regard to the state and the MCOs. So there are multi-layers of oversight. We have the individual staff working with the people we support. They have managers, they're doing spot checks. It's a multi-layered approach, and I think it's probably pretty similar to H.A.T.S and Waves as well.
Okay, great. And are services free for families is another question that just popped up.
I'm happy to answer that one. Yes, they are. The funders that we have, and probably Progress as well, the state of Tennessee, we have the MCOs, there's a funder called Choices, so forth and so on. But nonetheless, that's who makes the determination with regards to income. So we don't do that here. So the answer is yes for both the adults and the early learning program.
Okay, great, good to know. All right, I don't believe we have any other questions. Might give it.
I'm sorry, I would piggyback onto what Lance just said too. Everybody that we are seeing is coming through a referral process through either the state or MCOs. So that's, part of the situation of coming into it.
Sure. Okay, thank you for sharing, both of you. And does anyone else have anything to share? We don't have any questions right now, but any last minute options to share? Oh, wait, hold on. Another question came in, guys. It says, I believe you mentioned job readiness. What programs do you have?
We have several. First of all, we have 2 project search internships, 2 different cohorts in project search. We also have individual employment training. So if somebody may express interest in working, we will work with them, see what they enjoy doing, what their talents are, and then work with them one-on-one so that they are job ready. We have an employment center on campus at Progress where we have different workstations from retail sales to bagging to a cashier. We have a POS system if somebody wants to work at Amazon. We have their coding to make boxes and shipping tags, hotel linens, all of that type of thing. We will work with them through the process, then help them, acquire a job, and then do what we can to ensure their success long-term. We also participate in the Social Security's Administration's Ticket to Work program, and we work with vocational rehabilitation as well. And I know that I'm forgetting several other aspects to our employment program, but it's fairly comprehensive, and whatever somebody needs to be successful, we're going to do.
That's great information. Thank you so much. Here's a great question, and I believe this would apply to each and every one of you. What has been the most rewarding thing for those of you working in this field? So feel free to answer.
I'll go first, I guess, because several years ago, the state of Tennessee was involved in a class action lawsuit where they were forced to move people out of state institutions, including Clover Bottom, which was referenced earlier. And I was in a position at Waves at that time where the director came to me and said, Lance, we're going to start a brand new program, go to Clover Bottom, get 4 people, bring them back, set them up in a house, and do it all today. So I was like, what? However, that turned into a completely enriching experience to see
adults who had grown up in a state institution all of a sudden get plopped down in the middle of Franklin, Tennessee, and have the first time they had ever eaten a meal that wasn't mass produced in a cafeteria, the first time that they were ever able to stay up past 9 o'clock at night, the first time that they ever had their own bedroom or their own private bathroom. I do believe we made a positive impact on their life, but I think every staff that was there during that evolutionary period was profoundly affected as well. So that completely changed my perspective on why we do what we do. So
wow, what an
hopefully that answers
experience.
your question.
It does, absolutely. Anyone else want to share what they love about working in this field?
Oh, I will. I've been in the nonprofit world in Middle Tennessee for over 25 years. I've only worked at Progress in the area of folks with special needs for the past 9. And it is just amazing on a daily basis. I am particularly delighted and excited about this art there, this new art access to the arts program. And that's near and dear to my heart because I've been looking for funding to do that type of thing, increase the quality of our community-based day program for many years, finally found the right funder, was able to do it. And it's also the fact that I've been able to work with the people we support on a much closer basis. Normally I'm in the office writing grants, speaking with funders. So this was a lot of fun because this was a passion project for me. I was able to go to children's theater and sit next to our people to see if they really did like SpongeBob SquarePants, the musical. I'll be sitting with them at the Nutcracker Ballet. So that's really been great. And what's been so incredibly rewarding is I'll have different people come up to me and say, hey, Kelly, where are we going next? Which it's not just, oh, I feel good because I'm doing this for them. They really are enjoying it. So that's just been great. And I also have to do a special shout out to the people that I work with. I had the great job of being able to brag about the people who actually do the hard work. And COVID really brought that home. We have people, I've said this and Lance said this too, these are people who are not making very much money at all. They have hard jobs. And here we're in the midst of a global pandemic, and these people are putting their own health at risk and their own family's health at risk to go work with the people that we support. And they still went to work. They still did it with generosity and grace. And I always knew that I worked with superheroes, but I really saw it through that time. And I'm sure you all have too.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kelly. Anyone else want to share anything before we close? We don't have any other questions at this time, but Dina, go ahead.
Well, as the early learning director, one of the best things about this job is to see a little one take his first step to his mom. I will always get chill bumps when I see that. Or to see a little one actually say mama to get his mom's attention. It's always good stuff. One of my favorite things, though, is to see one of our kids being in a regular classroom with all the other toddlers. We might go in for whatever assistance they might need, but that is certainly a goal achieved. And then for the very best thing is whenever they turn 3, if they no longer qualify for our services, then the services are severed at age 3 or now age 5. But it is beautiful when you get a little child who is born at maybe 1 pound, 3 or 4 ounces, and at age 3, they no longer qualify for any services because of the support that they've gotten all along from us. And that's just good stuff. It'll never get old.
Extremely rewarding. Yes, absolutely.
I'll jump in as well. Being on the development side, I don't get as much one-on-one experience with the individuals that we serve, but through the progress of us creating a podcast that Lance mentioned earlier, we've been able to see a lot of skill development take place with the people that we support, because every episode that we feature it's co-hosted by one of the adult sets in our program. And I think that's what makes it a little bit unique from the other podcasts that are out there. But there was this one instance where Matt, who has been a faithful co-host for our podcast, he was on and we had his mom come on to talk about some of the services. She works at another nonprofit in the area as well, serving the same population. And Gina was there, and it was one of those like shocking moments for her because Matt was just coming out of his shell and talking so much and asking questions and contributing to the conversation in a way that she didn't anticipate. And she literally sat there at the table with her jaw just dropped and was like looking at Gina and was like, who is this person? Like, this is my son. And he is he is expressing himself in a way that like I've never seen before. And so being able to see that was really, really neat. It was really cool. And just being able to find those nonprofits that are also in our area that are working in like very niche arenas to provide services for the folks that we support, and being able to help provide the programming so that our folks can take advantage of it has been really neat, because we've been able, like Kelly was talking about, like access to the arts, like our folks being able to participate in plays, singing, being in the Glee Club, doing all these things that typically developed people get to take advantage of on a daily basis. Being able to see our folks get exposed to those types of experiences is just, it's life-changing. Like, it's, a lot of people might think like, oh, I got to go to the park today. That's a big deal for a lot of our folks, like being able to have that transportation and be able to have the support to be able to do something as simple as go to the park. It's really neat to be able to see that happen, because that's big experiences for them and a lot of support for their families. We talk about changing the lives of the individuals a whole lot, but the families that are able to participate and get that support for their loved ones, their lives are changed as well. And so it's really neat to see that trickle down impact go throughout the individual and their support systems.
Very cool. Thank you so much for sharing that and just having something to look forward to, right? Getting out in the community and enhancing their lives. That's what it's all about. So I know some of you participants may have further questions after today's presentation. Each attendee will receive a follow-up email with my contact, as well as the contact of the program representatives from today's tour. Please feel free to follow up with us for more information. Thank you again, Sheila, Kelly, Lance, Stacy, and Gina, for taking time to be with us today. I know I speak for all of us in saying that we are so grateful for the work that you've done and continue to do at a time when the community needs you more than ever. United Way is so grateful to be a partner in and supporter of your work. I also want to send a thank you out to all of our attendants today for joining us, taking time out of your lunch break. And thank you for the time that you devoted to our community for year-round support of United Way. This work absolutely could not happen without you. We hope that you'll join us again for Tour Tuesday in the future. Information on our next Tour Tuesday will be posted soon on the United Way Get Involved website page. And thank you again. You guys have a great rest of your week. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you.